The location wasn't a source of distress for the two of them, only some discomfort. Suaping nodded. With the presence of that pair, Suaping would feel more at ease. He told the Inferno Dragon to lead the way to step into the location. Suaping encountered several beasts as soon as they went inside, and the first one was at the legendary rank. That beast was bloated, even too fat to move. The beast was more like a mountain of flesh that was burning up. Even while standing 1,000 meters away from the beast, Suaping felt as if he were in boiling water. Any common person would have died instantly. Suaping mobilized astral powers to protect himself while he told the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon to attack. As for the Purple Python and the Void Bug, he had the two stay with him. This time, the focus for that training would be on the Inferno Dragon and then the Dark Dragon Hound. The Dark Dragon Hound, although a pet of the demon family, had mastered some skills using fire. The Dark Dragon Hound might be able to get better in this location. Previously, when I was training some customers' pets of the fire family in places full of flames, the pets would become much more resistant to damage done by fire and the pet's potential would be inspired. They were able to learn some advanced fire-related skills. The environment has a lot to do with the pet's development. I wonder if my pet's skills can be enhanced. Suaping sat on the Purple Python's head, deep in thought. Before he went there to train this time, he had found some directions for future training, based on his experience of training other pets and the data he had collected. He had not trained other customers' pets for nothing. In fact, he had gained plenty of experience. I've taken my pets to all kinds of cultivation sites, like the chaotic realm of the undead, some places with fire, this demigod burial, etc. The environments were diversified and as such, my pets have learned skills of various sorts. At the current stage, I can say that my pets are strong. But they have reached a bottleneck. None of them has an ability that could take care of opponents with a single move. When I was training the Lightning Rat for the first time, the system picked out the Thunder Cloud realm automatically, claiming it was the most suitable for training a Lightning Rat. I have reason to believe that pets of different kinds have training places which are the most suitable for them. Since the Lightning Rat is of the Thunder family, the Thundercloud realm is perfect to aid in strengthening the Lightning Rat's skills. The Lightning Rat did learn many skills of the Thunder family and it only began to deviate from its original development path after it visited the chaotic realm of the undead. Suaping's mind was working quickly. While he was absorbed in his thoughts, the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound were still battling against the monster that was like a mountain of fire. Since the latter was at the legendary rank, it soon killed them. Their deaths pulled Suaping back to reality and he revived them at once. As they came back to life, the flesh mountain of fire stood in a daze for a second, then it immediately pounced at the two pets. Suaping watched the battle. The Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon were employing all their ninth skills, all of them were of various kinds, from the more aggressive to those with deterrent effects. However, only the dragon's roar could produce some effect and slow down the flesh-like mountain of flames a bit. After all, the dragon's roar was above the legendary rank. The Inferno Dragon had yet to master it completely but it had already scratched the surface. Looking at the dazzling scene, Suaping thought of an idea. He seemed to have figured out what was wrong. Inferno Dragon, Roaring Dragon Flame. Dark Dragon Hound, Dark Hellfire. Suaping gave out two orders, full of determination. Both were 9th rank skills of the fire family and they would exert a little effect in this situation. That mountain of flames was a beast of the fire family, it was highly resistant to fire and was immune to the common kinds of fire. Theoretically speaking, Suaping's orders were not appropriate but Suaping had given the instructions with resolution and seriousness. The two battle pets were unable to disobey. Roar! The Inferno Dragon charged forth and jumped at the monster. Flames burst out around the Inferno Dragon, turning it into a dragon made of fire. In the meantime, the Dark Dragon Hound was bellowing as well. The black flames around the Dark Dragon Hound started to spread over the ground, they crept forward and climbed onto the fleshly mountain of fire. Bang! The fire mountain made a strange sound. The monster moved one of its fat limbs and dispersed the inferno dragon's roaring dragon flame. No harm was inflicted on the monster. As for the dark hellfire, it had reached the monster but was later swallowed by the crimson fire covering the monster, leaving no trace behind. Both the inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound were sensing that their lives were in danger. They would have run away if it weren't for the fact that Suaping was standing behind them. Keep going! Roaring dragon flame! Dark hellfire! Suaping repeated his previous order. Both the dark dragon hound and the inferno dragon were puzzled. Suaping had never acted like this before. Usually, under Suaping's instruction, they would always finish off their opponents in the fastest way they could. Even they could tell that Suaping's orders were wrong. Why would he make them do this? But they couldn't disobey him because of the contract. If they were to go against it, either they would die, or they would hurt Suaping's spirit. The first to be hurt would be the pet's master when their actions backfired. If the battle pet were unwilling to hurt its master when it went against the contract, then the pet would have to sacrifice its own life. That was the power of the contract. Roar! Roar! The inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound roared again and unleashed the same set of skills. Still, no mark had been left on the legendary beast. Again! Suaping shouted. The inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound were experiencing fear in addition to confusion. They couldn't figure out what had happened to Suaping. Why would he give out those foolish instructions? There was plenty else they could do that would have better effects and results than those two skills. Why did they have to keep using those two skills? Unsettled as they were, they had to follow orders. Again and again, under Suaping's instructions, the inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound repeated their skills until the fleshly mountain of fire would grab them and tear them apart. But Suaping would bring the inferno dragon and dark dragon hound back to life immediately and the same thing would go on. The inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound had gone numb. They just followed Suaping's orders and died again and again. During one of their deaths, the monster noticed Suaping in the distance. The monster breathed out a gust of fire that stunned Suaping. By the time he came back to his senses, he had lost his life. Revive! Suaping came back to life and also revived the purple python. He had the purple python take him further away. At the same time, he was issuing the same old order from before. The inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound had no other choice but to keep going. Yet, all of the flames they generated would not leave any mark on the monster, as if they were pieces of cotton. The dark dragon hound and the inferno dragon had no other option but to see that horrifying figure going after them time after time. Suaping understood that death was painful, but this was the only way he could think of to enhance their skills, which was to repeat the same skill constantly. For hundreds and even thousands of times. Only by practicing could they be toughened and hardened into steel. Suaping hoped that the constant practice and the pressure of dying could inspire the inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound. And again. The two pets died once again. Suaping's voice was cold as ice. The dark dragon hound stared at the flesh mountain of fire that was turning around, trembling. The dark dragon hound favored defensive skills, but Suaping had banned them. The dark dragon hound could only use its least favorite offensive skill, a 9th rank one that would use up too much energy. Compared to the inferno dragon, the dark dragon hound was much more cowardly. Its four limbs were shaking and it wished it could fall to the ground so that the monster would look past it. But Suaping's order had come. To attack. The dark dragon hound knew that attacking would mean imminent death and that it would anger the monster. However, it couldn't disobey Suaping. I don't want to die. No. Roar! The dark dragon hound shouted wildly like a crazy dog. Its eyes turned into the color of blood. Charge! Charge! Heavy, dark flames burst out from the dark dragon hound, reaching several meters high, and floated around the dark dragon hound as if the fire was its own fur. Then, the fire suddenly took the image of a massive wolf. Roar! The wolf made of dark flames was howling and running. Together with the roaring dragon flame from the Inferno dragon, the huge wolf sprung at the monster. In the distance, Sua Ping stared aghast. It changed. It was happening. He was seized with a pleasant surprise. The repeated deaths and practice had changed the dark dragon hound's dark hellfire greatly. This new version seemed to have combined some features of the roaring dragon flame. The dark hellfire was no longer creeping forward on the ground like before. Again, the monster waved its thick arm, which was surrounded by intense flames, and attacked the massive wolf that had been formed with dark hellfire. The dark hellfire wolf howled and suddenly jumped to the other side of the monster. The wolf opened its mouth and took a bite of the monster. The fangs made with burning flames were sharp and fierce, they burned into the bloated body of the massive beast. The monster shouted. It must have felt pain. Abruptly, the monster breathed out profound, blood-colored flames which then took the shape of a hand that grabbed the neck of the wolf and pinched. The wolf was torn into pieces, which seemed to have hurt the dark dragon hound as well. It let out a miserable cry. Blood began to ooze from the dark dragon hound's face, giving a horrifying and tragic look to it. Roar! The dark dragon hound became even crazier. Flames converged once more and another wolf dashed out. The Inferno dragon unleashed the roaring dragon flames at the same time. In the meanwhile, a ray of blazing light emerged from the monster's chest area. The ray of light pierced through the Inferno dragon and the dark dragon hound almost instantly. Again, the two pets died on the spot. Revive. Sua Ping had been paying full attention to the situation. He brought his pets back to life without delay. There was a glow of excitement in his eyes. The change in the dark dragon hound's skill clearly signaled an upgrade in the original skill. The strange thing was that the wolf formed by the dark hellfire could jump around as if it were under certain control. Generally speaking, most energy attacks would only target fixed points. Only some rare energy skills had tracking and adjusting abilities. However, the dark dragon hound's skill was even more complicated than the simple tracking feature. The wolf knew how to avoid strikes. It seemed to have intelligence. Sua Ping couldn't understand the underlying mechanism. The dark dragon hound probably was the only one who knew about it. Repeated practice is working. To unleash the same skill for 1,000 times, 10,000 times, and even for 100 times, there is bound to be some change. The pets will understand that skill better. Sua Ping felt exhilarated after such an inspiration. He had found a way to learn strengthening as part of the trainer mission the system had assigned to him. Apart from the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound's offensive skills, Sua Ping could strengthen their defensive skills as well. 2 hours later. Roar! The monster suddenly shouted, slapping the Dark Dragon Hound and Inferno Dragon to death, then, it turned into a ball of flames that quickly rolled away, smashing all the surrounding boulders and rocks. Soon, that monster disappeared. Sua Ping stood there, astounded. What? Did the monster just run away? A beast at the legendary level ran away. People would never believe this. Sua Ping felt speechless. But he understood that the monster must have been fed up with the revivals. It couldn't kill the two pets but it could escape. Sua Ping felt disappointed. He was hoping that the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon could have developed further until the monster died. The monster truly deserved to be at the legendary level. During the past 2 hours, the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon had been progressing fast, and yet, they still didn't stand a chance to survive in front of that monster. Let's go. This time, you should join them. Sua Ping had the purple python go where the Dark Dragon Hound was. Having figured out the solution had delighted Sua Ping. What he needed to do next was to force his pets to keep on practicing. Both the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon cast an annoyed look at Sua Ping. They had become severely traumatized after the 2 hours passed, both mentally and physically. True, they would be full of energy after each revival. However, the fatigue on their minds due to all the battling was not going away. They just wanted to have some rest. Suaping could tell that they were tired thanks to the contract, which would convey their moods directly to him. Still, the more tired they were, the more likely they would find inspiration. No path toward strength was easy. Suaping knew that the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound still had some strength left. He could keep on pressing them. Suaping gave his order. The Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound had to keep moving. But they would whine occasionally as they moved along the way. Time flew past. Several days went by. Suaping, together with the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon, came out from the location. The two gods guarding outside could sense some stunning changes in both Suaping and his pets after merely 3 days. In particular, Suaping's pets changed the most. Each of his pets was at the moment giving out a profound and fierce energy, as if they had been training in hell. It was hard to imagine that they would become like this after 3 days. The two were stunned still. Suaping stood at the head of the purple python and said to the two with a smile, "Thank you for waiting here. Let's go back." The two darted a glance at the battle pet that had a very low-rank bloodline. Usually, they would never take a second look at such pets. However, the pungent smell of blood caught their attention this time. They soon came back to their senses. The one with the golden hair replied with a smile, "Brother Su, have you finished your training? I believe this was a rewarding trip for you." "It was okay," Suaping said. He waved his hand and several swirls appeared. The Inferno Dragon, the Dark Dragon Hound as well as the purple python went back inside. The smell of blood and killing intent in the area was instantly weakened. Suaping waved his hands again and the swirls closed and disappeared. The two gods covered up Suaping with an energy shield. Instantly, they disappeared on the spot. That was a skill that could only be mastered by people at the legendary rank. Suaping went back to the city and directly re-emerged at Joanna's residence. During the past 3 days, Suaping had never seen the most terrifying beast that he heard about, but he had encountered a fair share of beasts at the legendary rank or even above. Luckily for him, the most powerful beast he had met didn't bother attacking him, saving him some energy points that he would have to spend on revivals. "I'm back." Standing next to Joanna was a girl who appeared to be a secretary. Joanna came out of her room and took a look at Suaping. She immediately noticed the unusual glow around him. "Let's go back. How are the customers' pets now? All taken care of?" "Good. You never let me down." Joanna didn't reply to that comment. Naturally, she would deliver all her promises. Otherwise, she wouldn't be the ruler of that place. Suaping waited while Joanna brought back the customers' battle pets. Then, they went back to the store. There was no light outside. It had to be nighttime. Suaping did some calculations about the time. He went to the cultivation site in the afternoon and stayed for a couple of days there. Indeed, it should be some time after dark. He should have stayed in the cultivation site for a couple of more days. A 10-hour night in the real world would be 10 days in the cultivation site. "Hey, I think I'm aging a bit faster now that I've spent so much time in cultivation sites." Suaping turned on the lights and looked into the mirror. Leaping into his sight was a perfect face. There were some signs of tiredness amid his flawless facial features, a melancholic glow in his eyes, and his growing facial hair was sexy. He couldn't be more handsome, he exclaimed to himself. Admiring his own looks was the only time he could receive some comfort. He dug out a saber that he had found in the mysterious realm and used it to shave. "Ah, what a handsome youth!" Suaping admired his looks from different angles and everything was perfect. Then, he thought of the issue he was wondering about just then. Out in the real world, only an afternoon had passed. However, his body had experienced days in the cultivation site. Suaping believed that at this rate, when his ID showed that he was 19, his body would have grown to the age of 20 already. Maybe, when he reached his 20s, his body would be in his 30s, and when he was around 30 years old, his body would be as old as 40 or 50. Goodness! How terrifying was that? Suaping was afraid to chase after that train of thought. Usually, people lose their hair when they are working hard. I'm losing my youth instead. This cannot go on. I admit that I will still be handsome even when I become old. But all the girls love youthful boys. I'm in the prime state of my looks. Suaping paced up and down in the store, worried. All of a sudden, he remembered the explorer's warehouse. Of the herbs sold there, there was something called look preservation fruit. That was sold at more than 1,000,000 merit points. In terms of astral coins, the price would be over 10 million. Buy it. Suaping logged onto the website, quickly found that fruit and the description soothed his mood. Indeed, the fruit could retain his youthful look. He paid and the fruit was now his as no Suaping placed the order and all he needed to do was to wait for the fruit to arrive. Done. Happily, Suaping closed the website. Men should be generous enough to invest in their looks. Ding! The host's pets have strengthened skills. Mission progress, elementary trainer, 10%. The host can draw the first prize and shall do so within the next 3 minutes. The system's sudden interjection startled Suaping. Suaping's eyes glowed after the system finished reporting. He never knew that he would get a chance to draw a prize right then. He had the idea that he would have to finish the entire mission first. At the same time, that was another sign that the mission was difficult, even though it merely said elementary trainer. To the system, Suaping was still a green hand. The familiar rotating disc emerged in front of Suaping. Start? Without further ado, Suaping started. He waited for a moment before he shouted stop. The disc gradually stopped, pointing at a certain book. Elementary Rules of Thunder. Suaping looked at the book in confusion. Rules of Thunder? What did it mean? Please pick up the prize, the system reminded him. Okay. Instant application, yes or no? Yes. The book transformed into a puff of energy that flew to his forehead, just like when he had absorbed other skill books in the past. He anticipated that there would be a great surge of information, but he was still stunned. The amount of information was massive. The first thing entering his mind was a sudden clap of thunder that was louder than anything he had heard before. At that moment, he felt the only thing left in the world was that clap of thunder. Afterward, it had an aura that was primitive and sophisticated. As the continuous surges of information kept arriving, Suaping saw a figure that was surrounded by bolts of lightning, mumbling something in an ancient language. He could hear the voice but he didn't understand the words, at the same time he could understand some of the meaning. Suaping felt that he was weak and tiny. As time flowed, the thunderbolt was getting bigger and bigger in front of Suaping's eyes, so he could see all the structure of this thunderbolt, which was made up of countless lightning bolts, full of destructive power. Growing continuously, every beam of electric light became massive and wide in front of Suaping's eyes. The structure of electric light was also expanding. Whoosh! Abruptly, everything disappeared. Suaping trembled out of reflex. He could see the store again, as if everything that he had just experienced was nothing but an illusion. But Suaping knew that he had not imagined it because of the additional information in his mind. That clap of thunder was still lingering in his mind. He could sense it and study it at any time he wanted. Every time he did so, he would learn something new. He finally understood what this elementary rules of thunder was. It wasn't a skill, but something much more precious than that. It involved the rules of nature. Suaping was learning the rules of thunder. What would it mean? Fizz, fizz. Suaping raised his hands. Some electric arcs were moving about. With the newly acquired profound understanding of the underlying mechanism of thunder and lightning, Suaping had just become able to unleash some skills of the thunder family, which he could never do before that day. Humans were unlike beasts. They weren't born with the ability to master thunder and lightning. Thunder and lightning exist in everything. This is how you transform astral powers into thunder and lightning, Suaping mumbled to himself. When a person analyzed and comprehended something deeply, he would find that it wasn't that difficult. That was what Suaping was feeling. He was able to easily do something he could have never imagined before. It seemed as if what he was doing were as common as a person grabbing a stone and throwing it out. You have touched upon the knowledge of rules. Standing by the door of the pet room, Joanna eyed Suaping with astonishment. Joanna had always been able to keep a calm look on her face. Nothing could disturb her mind. However, she was expressing genuine surprise at this moment. Suaping thought of her strength. She had to know more about this than he did. This is called knowledge of rules? Do you have those? He asked. Joanna removed her look of surprise, but she still found it hard to believe. When did you pick up the knowledge? Back at the perilous location? But that was a place of fire. You should have learned rules of fire instead of the rules of thunder, Suaping answered. I learned it just a moment ago. Can you tell me more about this? Joanna took a more careful look at Suaping. Then, she remembered the mysterious supporter Suaping had. After that thought, her calmness was restored. I don't know how you began touching upon the rules of thunder, but this can only happen once in a blue moon. The fact that you can start learning the rules of thunder when you have yet to reach the legendary rank means you would be regarded as a rare talent even if you were a pure-blood member of the gods. Suaping raised his eyebrows. Even among pure-blooded gods? Of course, pure-blood gods were limited to those in the demigod burial, and Joanna was not talking about gods in other planes or the Archean divinity. But the demigod burial was tens of thousands of times larger than the blue planet. To be regarded as a genius on such a planet was not something that would happen often. An analogy would be that he probably was equal to hundreds of elite league champions combined. Of course, he had not stumbled across this knowledge on his own. It was because of the book. Usually, one can only get to know the existence of rules after having gone through the heavenly test and thoroughly remolding oneself. Joanna went on, the more outstanding ones of the legendary rank have a chance to get to know rules, but that is it. Only the senior rankers have a chance to start learning. The extremely rare few can not only start learning rules but also reach the deeper levels and turn that into sophisticated skills. As for you, you have started learning the rules and can harness the power of thunder and lightning. That means that you have had an in-depth understanding. Even a legendary battle pet warrior with your ability would be considered talented. Joanna then took another meaningful look at Suaping. Suaping had a better understanding after that. He was learning something that should be exclusive to those at the legendary rank or above. He was getting another technique in advance, like the astral telekinesis, that should be a skill for titled battle pet warriors. But I think this is something similar to what my pets can do. My pets can use skills from other families. Can that be regarded as learning the rules as well? Suaping suddenly remembered that all of his pets were strange in the sense that they could use skills not found in their families. Joanna found that interesting as well. There were few pets like Suaping's. Suaping's training method was possibly the only way to produce many strange pets, mass-produced at that. Probably. Joanna answered, for example, when a pet of the fire family has learned skills of the thunder family, then the pet can be said to have started learning the rules of thunder. However, pets are only learning based on their instinct. They have no idea what rules are. Even when they do start the learning process, they will gradually forget or won't go further than the beginning stage. Only some beasts of extremely high rank can digest such knowledge and study further or spread that knowledge within its species. However, beasts generally lack such abilities and enough intelligence. Even high-ranked beasts are hardly able to achieve an in-depth understanding. Joanna's eyes showed a troubled look as she finished her explanation. Suaping believed that the fact that he could start learning the rules of thunder was nothing strange. Even the dark dragon hound could have done that, and it was learning rules of all sorts. The only difference between him and his pets was in their power of understanding. In other words, the dark dragon hound could learn skills which didn't belong to the demon family, and yet, the dark dragon hound would only stay at the level when it picked up the skill, but it wouldn't deepen its understanding of the skill. For example, if the dark dragon hound had learned a 7th rank skill of the fire family, that skill would stay like that forever, and the dark dragon hound could even forget that skill if it stopped using it. But things were different when it came to the skills of the demon family, the dark dragon hound's own family. When a pet of the demon family learned a 6th rank skill, say, roaring dark flames, with enough talent and good luck, that skill could evolve into a 9th rank skill, the darkness tornado. The latter was an advanced version of the former. That would signify that the pet had a better understanding of demon rules. On the other hand, when pets picked up skills which didn't belong to their original family, it would be hard for them to make those skills evolve to another level. That was why people would marvel at pets that could learn skills of various kinds, but it wouldn't be as shocking. Such events were rare, granted, but it could happen. Pets would have to constantly battle and face more life-threatening moments than human beings. It was highly likely that the pets would learn diversified skills when pressured. As for humans, they didn't master any sort of energy when they were born. Humans could only absorb the purest astral energy available. Humans would be considered as able to touch the surface of rules if they could turn the pure astral energy into other types of energy. Humans that could do this were few and far between and had to be highly intelligent. They had to have a profound understanding of energy. During the short while that Suiping observed the thunder and lightning, he had gained an understanding of that phenomenon more than he had ever could before. That was why he could generate bolts of lightning. Once humans started this process, they would consciously dig deeper and go further. That was what made humans and pets different. I was telling the dark dragon hound to use the dark hellfire. The skill was merely strengthened, not evolved. But it is a better version, and the skill can be strengthened further if I keep on pressuring the dark dragon hound. There's a slight chance that the dark dragon hound can learn an evolved version of that skill. Suiping thought. He suddenly understood why he had been able to get the elementary rules of thunder. If the dark dragon hound were a pet of the thunder family, he would have been able to pass the knowledge to the dark dragon hound to deepen its understanding of the rules, which would enable the dark dragon hound to evolve its skills. The elementary rules of thunder allowed Suiping to master thunder and lightning. He could duplicate some skills of the thunder family as long as he could observe long enough and analyze the skills thoroughly. The other significance of the elementary rules of thunder was that he could pass the knowledge to his pets to help them strengthen and evolve their skills. To be frank, this was a trainer's skill that the system had given him. But why the rules of thunder? He wished it could be the rules of fire. That way, he could pass the knowledge to the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound to strengthen their skills right then. Wait a minute. Joanna said that pets were unable to improve the skills that weren't part of their original family, especially when they had merely picked up the skills by chance. But, if I can pass the rules of thunder to the Dark Dragon Hound and allow the Dark Dragon Hound to have a better understanding of thunder and lightning, then... All of a sudden, a brilliant glow burst out from Suiping's eyes. At that moment, he finally understood how outstanding trainers could be. And what trainers were. No wonder the system said that I wasn't a trainer. It was right. Suiping was seized with excitement. Finally, he could see what kind of change a qualified trainer could do to a pet. No wonder trainers were honorable, and even battle pet warriors at the same rank had to pay trainers respect. It was well within reason. Thanks. Suiping expressed his gratitude to Joanna and hurried to the test room. He adjusted the environmental settings and instantly, the room turned into a place by the ocean side. Suiping hopped in and summoned the Dark Dragon Hound. The Dark Dragon Hound first bellowed after it came out and relaxed a bit upon seeing no enemies. The Dark Dragon Hound lowered its head to look at Suiping. Suiping was about to deliver the knowledge to the Dark Dragon Hound when he suddenly wanted to find out what kind of skills of the Thunder family he could unleash, based on his current understanding of the rules of thunder. The Dark Dragon Hound didn't understand why it had to use that skill at that moment. Nevertheless, the Dark Dragon Hound knew better than to disobey. Bolts of lightning surrounded the Dark Dragon Hound, especially around its forelimbs. Crackling sounds reverberated as this happened. It seemed as if it were walking on lightning. Whoosh! The dark dragonhound charged forth so fast that merely a blur could be visible. That was Thunder Sprint, a 7th rank skill of the Thunder family. In less than 1/10 of a second, the dark dragonhound had reached the other side of the room, crossing 100 meters. That was a skill that allowed the pet to quickly approach its enemy, a must for advanced pets from the Thunder family, which was useful in close-range combats. Sua Ping watched carefully. The moment the dark dragonhound initiated the Thunder Sprint, Sua Ping's eyes began to work like a precise and high-resolution camera that filmed the entire process of the skill's application. How the dark dragonhound controlled the energy and how it flowed. Sua Ping closed his eyes. The rules of thunder he had picked up from that clap of thunder in his mind started to help him with his understanding of the skill. All of a sudden, an electric arc leaped up between his eyes. The next second, lightning surged and enveloped him. He lifted his legs and ran. Bang! Almost immediately, a loud noise was heard, similar to something bumping against an object. A blur went past the dark dragonhound and smashed into the wall. Right when the collision happened, because of the actual impact, Sua Ping rolled backward and the electric arcs around him were dispersed. Ah, it hurts. Sua Ping sat up and covered his face with his hands, especially his nose. He wondered if his nose had been broken. He didn't control his power and ended up charging too quickly. There was a tingly pain on his face. Sua Ping hurriedly took out a mirror and checked. To his relief, his handsome looks remained unmarred. It seemed that being thick-skinned had its benefits. Heaving a sigh, Sua Ping stood up and darted a glance to where the dark dragonhound was and where he was. A glint of excitement rose in his eyes. He had mastered the skill. He had learned a 7th rank skill after merely having one look. Through his understanding of the rules of thunder, Sua Ping realized that the working mechanism of the Thunder Sprint was not complicated. The fast speed was because the lightning was stimulating the body. The stimulation method was special, but it could be learned as long as the energy path was copied. Sua Ping even felt that the energy path could be adjusted to strengthen the Thunder Sprint. Oh, I see it now. This is what a trainer's skill should be like. Sua Ping exclaimed to himself. He did enable the Dark Dragonhound and the Inferno Dragon to strengthen their skills in the cultivation site, but that was the result of repeated practice. That achievement also had everything to do with the environment of the cultivation site and the benefit of revivals. If he were to copy that method in the real world, he might be able to do the same thing, but it would take much longer and it would put him through more ordeals. The thing was, what was the point of repeated practice? To strengthen the understanding of the skills. Knowing the rules of thunder was equal to going through repeated practice. This is the elementary level and I already have such a profound understanding of thunder. Sua Ping curled his lips. Once again, he was shocked by the system's vision. He shook his head and walked to where the Dark Dragonhound was. All of a sudden, Sua Ping cast a questioning look at it. I can tell from your eyes that you were laughing at me, weren't you? The Dark Dragonhound felt a chill and instantly began to shake its head. Sua Ping glared at it from the corner of his eye. Let's try the 9th rank thunderstorm. He wanted to find out the upper limit of his knowledge of the rules of thunder. The thunderstorm was a powerful skill at the upper position of the 9th rank. This was the Dark Dragonhound's 3rd thunder-related skill. The other one was the thunder protection of the 9th rank. The Dark Dragonhound was relieved since Sua Ping didn't pursue the matter further. The Dark Dragonhound hopped into the center of the room and with a bellow, thunder clapped and bolts of lightning were gathered. 3 seconds later, a piece of dark cloud emerged above the Dark Dragonhound's head and thunder rolled. At the moment, the test room's environment was set to be an oceanside. The ocean was vast and the sky was high. The dark cloud had created tension in this space. Sua Ping observed with full attention and fixed his eyes on the Dark Dragonhound. Soon, the thunderstorm was complete. The majestic dark cloud hovered high in the sky like a black mountain, and the lightning flashed inside, as if there were a beast fighting fiercely inside the cloud, emitting a low noise like a drum rolling. Suaping noticed that the construction of the thunderstorm was much more intricate than the thunder sprint. He learned from the dark dragonhound and lightning began to travel around him. A moment later, above his head, a smaller piece of dark cloud appeared, with bolts of lightning. Nope. There is not enough energy and the effect is not good. Suaping frowned. The dark cloud was dispersed, but lightning instantly surged once more. This time, he made use of the star prism. After all, his original strength was merely at the 6th rank. With his experience of crazy battles in the cultivation site, his energy was richer than that of 6th ranked, or even 7th ranked battle pet warriors. Still, to unleash a 9th rank skill was too much for him. With the help of the star prism, the lightning around him increased in strength and expanded for several meters. An area with a radius of 4 to 5 meters with him at the center had become a field of thunder and lightning. At this moment, the energy inside him had increased to the 9th rank. He was exhibiting the energy of titled battle pet warriors. That was the power of a treasured artifact. Suaping opened his eyes. The bolts of lightning were traveling along with a mysterious pattern. Following that was a sudden clap of thunder. That clap of thunder stirred up the ocean. Frightened, the dark dragonhound turned around. A thick dark cloud was born from the void, then quickly expanding like a mass of cotton. In the blink of an eye, the dark cloud had grown into a pitch-black giant cloud, with bolts of lightning imprisoned inside. Those claps of thunder and bolts of lightning were trying to break through the cage of dark clouds. The cloud above the dark dragonhound seemed to be pulled to the larger cloud to become one. Break! Suaping shouted all of a sudden. Thousands of bolts of lightning suddenly burst out of the dark clouds, which suddenly fell into the distant ocean. With a bang, the ocean stirred up a huge wave, thousands of feet high, and the entire test room seemed to be trembling. This was the vibration in the environment. Outside the test room, there wouldn't even be the slightest vibration. Hiss, hiss. The water was vaporized. Although water could conduct electricity, the lightning was too strong, and some of the seawater stirred up by the explosion was directly evaporated by the high temperature. Suaping felt the level of energy inside him was dropping quickly, which scared him. The thunderstorm was too strong. The lightning bolts could turn any animal it touched into dust. Suaping stopped it. The thunderstorm gradually disappeared. In an instant, the sky cleared up. Suaping heaved a sigh with troubled feelings. To know those elementary rules of thunder was better than learning countless skills. He had a feeling that he could do more than the thunderstorm. But the skill was approaching his limit. He believed that, given time, he could strengthen the thunderstorm further and shorten the preparation time. At the current stage, it would take 3 seconds for the cloud to come into shape. If the preparation time was shorter than the 3 seconds, the skill would not yield a good result and the cloud might not even be able to come into being. However, in real life, no enemy would give you 3 seconds to prepare. Suaping calmed himself down and told the dark dragon hound to move closer. The hound was terrified. Suaping tidied his thoughts and then passed on the rules of thunder to the dark dragon hound through his consciousness. The process began. After the transfer, the dark dragon hound stood still on the spot with a dull look in its eyes. The dark dragon hound seemed to have been lost in the sea of information. Suaping didn't disturb it, he gave the dark dragon hound time to digest the information. I can easily tweak the 7th rank skills of the Thunder family given my learning of the rules of thunder. But I need to think better if I want to take a step further. I have to exert extra energy if I want to improve my 9th rank skills. Currently, I only have a faint idea, I'm not sure about the details yet. These elementary rules of thunder can allow me to master all the skills of the Thunder family of and below the 9th rank. Suaping took a deep breath. This realization had startled him. No wonder Joanna would be surprised that he was beginning to learn the rules. He was touching upon nature's laws. On the other hand, the Dark Dragon Hound was merely learning an independent skill, a minute part of the general system of the rules of thunder. A moment later, the dark dragon hound came back to its senses. Suaping noticed that the dark dragon hound must have digested the information, so he told the hound to try the thunder sprint again. The dark dragon hound did as requested. It was visibly faster, not by a large margin, but it was stunning nonetheless. The time for the hound to travel 100 meters was shortened by about 0.1 seconds. Suaping was happy. When time allowed, he would try to collect all the skills of the Thunder family by learning from other pets who had this predisposition. Let's go. Time for training. Suaping didn't spend more time in the test room. He didn't have any customers that night, so he could spend this time on the cultivation site. He was 10% in the elementary trainer mission. He had just learned strengthening skills, but strengthening should be used on the pet's energy as well. I'll go and try energy strengthening. When pets learn more skills, they will need to use more energy, Suaping said to himself. But he didn't know where to start. When it was about the skills, he could think of repeated practice. But what about energy? Should he tell the pets to repeat the process of absorbing energy and compressing it? Suaping remembered his previous experience while training pets in an almost brutal way. That way had enabled the pets to store up more energy. The Moonfrost Dragon was a case in point. The Moonfrost Dragon was not even at the 7th rank, but it could use 9th rank skills with ease. That was the benefit of having a large energy reserve. However, if that was the way to better accumulate energy, the system should have told him that he had accomplished that aspect. That was to say, the larger reserve of energy was not the answer. As such, the only other way Suaping could think of was to refine the energy. But how to do that? Suaping found no clues. He went to see Joanna and asked her to point him to the right direction. Refining energy. Joanna was sitting in a nursing pen, having shrunk her size to merely a dozen centimeters, like a larger action figure. She looked up at Suaping and said, "Refining energy is difficult. Usually, when someone is reaching the legendary rank, the heavens test will help that person refine his energy, to expel the filth and make the energy purer and richer. The heavens test is not happening. My pets are nowhere near the legendary rank. Your pets cannot initiate the heavens test, but you can borrow some," Joanna replied. Chapter 345 All-Out Sprint. Joanna was making it sound as if she weren't talking about the heavens test, but of getting a free meal or free Wi-Fi. Yes, like scourging off someone's heavens test. Joanna gave an affirmative answer. Find a creature that is about to reach the legendary rank, and when their heavens test begins, let your pets join in. You can bring your pets back to life even when they are killed by the heavens test, right? So, your pets can take the heavens test many times. Suaping stared dumbfounded at Joanna. That might actually work. In the cultivation site, his pets would not die for real and they could have their energy refined by the heavens test. That should be the quickest and most efficient method. This method could work well. How smart of you, to come up with this method. Indeed, the ones living long years are usually wily old foxes. Suaping could not help but exclaim. Joanna pulled a long face. It's not about my wit, but your foolishness. Besides, my true self has indeed been living a long time, but I don't share memories with my true self. It was just that when I was born, my true self passed me some inherent abilities. Theoretically speaking, I'm only 17 this year. Suaping was shocked. 17? How can you be so scheming if you are just 17? You. Joanna bit her teeth in fury. Suaping laughed but stopped joking after that. Anyways, Joanna's proposal had settled his crying needs. Otherwise, he would still be at a loss as to what to do. Let's go. But I don't think it's going to be easy to find someone or something nearing the legendary rank. Suaping was still worried. The method was a good one, but he supposed that finding the right creature was far from being a piece of cake. That I can help you with. Joanna snorted. Since Suaping was going to leave for the divinity, she would not stay in the nursing pen alone. She stepped out and grew to a human size. She had to adjust her size because her original self would be too huge for that place. Sui Ping nodded. Joanna could ask her subordinates to find such creatures. It would be much easier than him trying to find the right creature all by himself. Thanks. When we are done with this, I am going to give you an excellent rating in the evaluation, Sui Ping said. He could evaluate his employees every month. A rating of excellence could give 10 points to the employee. Better than excellent was outstanding, which could add 50 points. Since Joanna had been helping him with pet training and had just solved a big problem for him, she deserved to have the highest rating, but Sui Ping thought he'd better pace himself. If he were to give her the best rating at every evaluation, she wouldn't learn to cherish it. Besides, she would be more motivated with the prospect of a better rating. Hey, what an evil mind! Joanna became dazed for a second after hearing his words. She was surprised to hear him mention the evaluation. She had been working for Sui Ping without complaining because training pets for him was easy. She would always delegate the work to her subordinates. In the meantime, she could go back to her residence to have a good time or deal with something of her own. Therefore, to her, working for him was a fair deal. She would trade for opportunities to go back to the divinity while working for him. It was a surprise that Sui Ping, whom she had never buttered up intentionally, was going to give her a good result at the evaluation. She had learned that she could get 10 points for each rating of excellence. The previous time, for that weird mission, she got 20 missions. If she could get the 10 points this time, she would have 30 points. She had 100 points at the beginning. In total, she would have 130 points, one step closer to getting the 200 points, and to become an excellent employee. Sui Ping was merely giving her a good score at the rating, but when she became an excellent employee, that would mean an actual step up in her status and she could have a chance to visit any world she liked. That was her goal. She thought of the outstanding level in the rating, which was better than excellence. A trace of excitement flashed past her eyes. Time to go. Sui Ping searched for the demigod burial and went in. To find wild beasts that are about to reach the legendary rank is a bit hard. They won't wait for us, either. They had arrived. Joanna was analyzing the situation for Sui Ping. We have to turn to our people. I will put up posters and send the message across the city. I will ask those who are about to reach the legendary rank to come here, and I will offer them a generous reward and give them artifacts that can help them better cope with the heavens test. Sui Ping could tell that Joanna was taking the matter seriously. That is good. But will we hinder their progress if we want to mooch off their heavens test? Joanna's first reaction was to say yes, of course. But she noticed that might sound like she was despising Sui Ping for asking a silly question. She paused to reorganize her answer and make it softer. There can be some influence. Usually, when one is about to reach the legendary rank, a safe place is sought, somewhere no other living creatures can get close to. Once other living creatures appear during the heavens test, it'll become much harder. Sui Ping was surprised. Do pets also count as those living creatures? No. Pets and masters have contracts. Nature recognizes pets and masters as one, Joanna explained. Sui Ping nodded. But when my pets go and join in the heavens test, will the person undergoing the test be killed? Sui Ping had more questions. Joanna replied, the test will be harder, but I will give them some artifacts to help them pull it off even with your pet's presence. Of course, if that person is just too weak, there is nothing else I can do. But such a person's death is not to be regretted. Soon, he thought of something else. You must have many treasures and artifacts. Can you give me some? Joanna was speechless. She regretted saying more than she should. What a greedy little businessman. Well, I suppose, the prospect of getting a good score at the evaluation helped her make up her mind. She agreed readily. Sui Ping was overjoyed. He was aware that he was coming off as greedy, but he was tempted. This was the divinity. Joanna's artifacts had to be quite powerful. He would only acquire a couple of treasured artifacts after going through hardships in the mysterious realm. If he could get something here, he would be invincible. He blamed himself for not thinking about this earlier. While Suiping was blaming himself, he suddenly heard the system's voice. The host is not advised to get those things. The host will not be able to use them in the real world even if the host can take them away from the cultivation site. What? That was a wet blanket over his head. Cannot use them? Why the hell not? The items from the cultivation site contain the rules of their original world and those rules can be mutually exclusive to the rules of the host's world, the system explained. A case in point would be if you ask Joanna to take one of her people to your world, that person would have to stay in the store. That is because of the rules of the world. Suiping still found it hard to understand. Then why can I take pets out from the cultivation sites, as well as pet food? The system replied, it is because this store is a pet store. The pets are captured with beast-catching rings that can help eliminate some of the conflicts of rules of different worlds. Also, pets that are taken from the cultivation sites are sold legitimately. The store will completely erase the incompatible rules. That applies to both the pets and the items sold in the store. Both can be taken away from the store. However, the store doesn't offer sales of treasured artifacts. Therefore, the artifacts the host takes out from the cultivation sites can only stay within the store and will be utterly useless once they are away from the bounds of the store. Suiping was speechless. The glint of hope that had just been kindled died away instantly. He tried to weep but failed to shed a tear. Then, he remembered the little skeleton's bone blade. First, that bone blade is not a treasure. Of course, there was some effect of the rules from that world on the blade. However, that bone blade has become part of your skeleton pet. The rules of the other world have been assimilated, the system stated. Suiping curled his lips. Suiping took a deep breath and told Joanna, never mind. I don't want your artifacts. Joanna was puzzled. He didn't want them? She became alerted. He didn't want the artifacts. Was he trying to ask her for something more serious? Those are all your belongings. You must have worked hard to collect them. I am your boss and I shouldn't take stuff from my employee. Suiping kept a straight face, sounding sincere. Joanna blinked in disbelief. Since when did this guy become so kind? But you've already taken enough from me. You drained almost half of my spring. You took divine crystals. At the thought of the spring, Joanna felt vexed. She, too, took a deep breath to calm herself down. She eyed Suiping with doubt. What do you want then? The look in her eyes embarrassed him. He blurted out in anger, put away that look on your face. Do you think I'm one of those unethical bosses that would covet their employees' things? Yes. Joanna said to herself. But not to him. Suiping snorted and put on a proud face. I told you that I no longer want your artifacts and that is a promise. I won't take that back. I won't take the artifacts even if you try to force them on me. Joanna found his actions strange. She took a closer look at him. At the same time, she didn't think he was lying, which was to her relief. She thought for a moment. Actually, I do have something that may suit you well. I'm going to have someone get them for you later. She wouldn't mind if Suiping only wanted a couple of artifacts. What she was scared of was that Suiping could demand an exorbitant price and clean out her collections. After all, humans were greedy creatures and always would be. Suiping raised his chin. I told you that I don't want them. Can't you understand my words? I always keep my words. You can give me an artifact that can destroy the world but I won't take it. I swear. Joanna was speechless. What is wrong with him? I will take your word for it, then. Joanna tried to sound him out. Suiping snorted. Go ahead. I stand by my words. Interesting. All right. Go and find me people who are going to reach the legendary rank. Suaping changed the subject, wearing a serious expression. Since Suaping had shifted the subject away from her artifacts, Joanna would certainly not bring it up again for sure. She summoned her subordinates and told them what to do. The news was quickly spread out. First, the people in the city became aware of the news. The population in the city was over 100 million, including some humans and other races that were not gods. The news stirred up a sensation in the city. Those at the peak of the 9th rank got excited and worked even harder in their cultivation. Soon, Joanna's subordinates sent the news to other places outside the city. Back to Joanna's castle. Suaping sat there, waiting for good news to reach him. Of course, he didn't waste time while he waited. He told Joanna to find him some pets of the Thunder family to act as his training partners. He wanted to try his best to learn all the skills of the Thunder family below the legendary rank. Since that was a small favor, Joanna readily agreed. The ones who went to train with Suaping were at the True God realm, equivalent to the legendary rank. They had pets that were also at the legendary rank. Some of their secondary pets were at the peak of the 9th rank. Suaping had to admit that his vision kept on expanding when he went there. He had seen the gods fight. No wonder he would not fancy the battles at the Elite League. Thunder Protection. Thunder Shadow Illusion. Thunder Slash. Various skills were unleashed in front of Suaping. He sat on the ground, watching carefully and studying all the skills. Whenever he learned one, he would tell the true gods to let their pets change to another skill. One after one. Suaping was mastering more and more skills of the Thunder family. It is too bad that the federal government regards Thunder Flash as one of the 10 secret skills below the legendary rank. That skill is actually of the legendary rank. For the time being, I won't be able to learn that. Suaping told the true gods to let their battle pets demonstrate Thunder Flash so that he could copy it. However, to his dismay, he realized that the skill was complicated. The action was seemingly simple, but the working mechanism escaped his understanding. I can tell that the elementary rules of Thunder can only allow me to learn skills below the legendary rank. If I can increase my understanding of the rules of Thunder, maybe I will be able to learn the skills at the legendary rank, Suaping said to himself. The elementary rules of Thunder were simply pushing the door open for Suaping. Maybe he would be able to get the middle-level rules of Thunder from the system sometime in the future, but he would have to be extremely lucky to do that. Suaping believed that he would rather count on his study than his luck. He would think about the rules of Thunder and perhaps, he could reach the middle level by himself. Several days later. We've heard some answers. Joanna came to the field outside her castle to find Suaping. I just heard that a god has sensed the calling of the heavens test. He will begin shortly. Suaping stopped his learning. Sensed the calling of the heavens test. He sounded surprised. That's right. When you are at the peak of the 9th rank and are qualified to move to the legendary rank, you will feel the calling of the heavens test. That is a feeling that is sought after by many at the peak of the 9th rank. Once you get that feeling, it means that you will reach the legendary rank. The heavens test will come whenever you're ready, Joanna stated. Suaping had no idea about the details related to the legendary rank breakthrough. Joanna's explanation had helped him understand. Has that man come to the city? Does he know he's going to take the heavens test? Suaping asked. Joanna smiled. He's on his way. But he has just felt the calling and needs some time before it begins, at least half a month. When he's ready, he can initiate the process at any time. The timing can be controlled. That is good. Half a month, right? A bit long, but I can deal with that. Suaping did some time calculations. Half a month, there would only be a day and a half in the real world. He could return for the heavens test after the next day's match. I will leave the matter to you, then, Suaping said. Don't worry about it, Joanna replied with a smile. Soon, the one about to take the heavens test had arrived in the city. Joanna set up a meeting between him and Suaping. This god was middle-aged, strong, and the same as other gods, about 4 to 5 meters tall. The middle-aged god didn't anticipate seeing a humble human being in that noble place. Besides, the other gods seemed to be in awe of that human being. The middle-aged god could see there were true gods, celestial gods, and even god warriors. To be among them terrified the middle-aged god. "Nice to meet you," the middle-aged god greeted Suaping nervously, not daring to belittle the human being. Gods were born to hold contempt against humans, but they did admit that there were powerful ones among them. Although the level of that human being's power could not be ascertained, the fact that he was there in the company of other gods made it all the more strange. Suaping was also baffled, wondering why the middle-aged god would appear to be so stressed out. It was one who had sensed the calling of the heavens test and was about to become a legend. On the blue planet, he would be more revered than Venerable the Blade. Once he reached the legendary rank officially, he could become an overlord of an entire continent. But why would he be so obsequious? Soon, Suaping understood the reason. It was because of all the gods around him. In this city, celestial gods were everywhere and those at the legendary rank were all over the place. This middle-aged person who had not reached the legendary rank had to be one of the average gods in the divinity. "Do you know that I was thinking about using the power of your heavens test?" Suaping asked. The middle-aged answered at once. "Yes, I'm aware of that. Her Highness has given me an artifact to help me pass the test. You can come all you want and you don't have to mind me." Suaping was at a loss for words. "Well then, good luck to you." That was the only response Suaping could come up with. Out of habit, he wanted to pat that god on the shoulder, but since the shoulder was too high, he resorted to giving a pat of encouragement on the god's thick thigh. The god smiled in embarrassment. The other gods showed him out of the castle. Before he left, the middle-aged god turned around to have one more look at Suaping, only to see that the human being had started discussing something about battles with the true gods. That human being, a glint of troubled feelings rose in the middle-aged god's eyes. He looked away and left. Soon, the time had come for Suaping to leave the demigod burial. He had been here for 10 days. The middle-aged god had yet to initiate the heavens test. Suaping did some calculations. It should be morning time back at his place in the blue planet. He had to go back to have breakfast and send Solingyu to the venue. Suaping couldn't stay there any longer. He had to leave. One day outside was roughly 10 days. Suaping asked Joanna, who said that based on the current situation, the middle-aged god would need 2 more weeks to be ready. Suaping would make it to heaven's test by the evening of the next day or the morning after. "Time to go," Suaping said to Joanna. Joanna knew about that. She was ready. The swirl appeared and pulled Suaping and Joanna in. Back at the store, Suaping looked at the time. His calculation was right. Dawn had broken. Suaping got Tang Ruin out from the scroll and told her to go freshen up. When he opened the door, there were already over a dozen people waiting. Suaping had already gotten used to this. Also, he noticed that there were fewer customers compared to the day prior. It was probably because people were waiting for the upcoming match of the day. The day's match was going to be intense, especially since it would be the turn for the losing parties of the group match finals to challenge the current top 10 winners. Not all the losing parties would go through the challenge, but few were unwilling to admit their defeat. The audience was looking forward to those challenges, eager to see if the top 10 candidates would change. Making it to the top 10 was an honor, but to be replaced would be a shame. Suaping thought of Su Kuang. He had yet to show up. Suaping told Tang Ruin to go and receive the customers waiting outside first. He soon began seeing to all the customers' needs. Half of them had shown up to pick up their pets. Those who would go at this hour were usually repeated customers. Some picked up their pets and left right away without testing for the effects. They used this approach to express that they trusted Suaping. All the repeated customers were aware of the stunning effects. Their pets would either pick up a new skill or display an increase in combat strength. They would be able to test the results when they went to a battle venue to challenge someone. Suaping didn't invite the customers to stay. He had learned a new way. He would write the training results for each pet on a post-it. He would write down the names of the new skills if the pet had learned any. He would write down briefly what combat techniques the pets had picked up if the pets had an increased combat strength. Customers could find out about the details in any battle stadium, so they didn't have to waste their time waiting for their turns in the test room. Suaping could tell that some of the repeated customers would prefer not to stay in the test room to check for the effects. Therefore, this new way would make it easier for those repeated customers as well. Soon, all of the customers left. Suaping stretched out and told Tang Ruin to watch the store. He also told Joanna to watch Tang Ruin while he went back home for breakfast. They did not waste any time. Su Kuang paid the bill and Suaping took him to the test room. Suaping brought out the rental contract he showed Su Kuang the day before and summoned the Dark Dragon Hound for them to build a temporary contract. How do I do that? Su Kuang was at a loss as to what to do with the rental contract. Suaping made a small cut on Su Kuang's finger with his nail and told Su Kuang to stamp the contract with his blood. Then, Suaping pasted the contract on the Dark Dragon Hound's forehead. Soon, the piece of paper turned into energy, submerging into the Dark Dragon Hound. Immediately, he sensed that there was something else next to the contract he had built with the Dark Dragon Hound, and that something had cast a veil over the contract. But he could still command the Dark Dragon Hound if he wanted. His contract with the Dark Dragon Hound was superior to the rental contract. If Suaping and Su Kuang were to give orders at the same time, the Dark Dragon Hound would only follow Suaping's orders. It's all yours. Take good care of it. Suaping patted Su Kuang's shoulder. Elated, Su Kuang could feel the new contract in his consciousness. He could feel the Dark Dragon Hound, which appeared to be a bit lazy, and at the same time violent. He could tell that the pet was harboring some deep-rooted rage. This is a ferocious pet. Su Kuang was glad. The more violent the battle pet was, the better it would be. The violent battle pets would have stronger powers and they would not flinch when faced with tough opponents. The only downside of having a violent pet was that it could easily backfire on the master. Remember, 8 hours only. But that should be enough time for you to win the match, Suaping cautioned Su Kuang. Su Kuang nodded quickly. He asked a sudden question, "Sir, if I use the Dark Dragon Hound and my pet together, will I be able to defeat Lu Qingfeng?" Su Kuang was eager for an affirmative answer. He had seen what the Dark Dragon Hound was capable of the other day and could not wait to try it out. He was very upset since Lu Qingfeng had defeated him. Of the current top 10 winners, he disliked the man from the Mu family the most, and then Lu Qingfeng at the beginning of the Elite League. Mu Cheng was the one most unpleasant to Su Kuang's eyes. Mu Chen was also in Su Kuang's class. For their 3 years in the Aries Academy, Mu Chen had bested Su Kuang in every regard, which enraged Su Kuang. However, since Mu Chen failed to reach the top 10, Su Kuang was unable to challenge him. But the fact that Su Kuang had reached that far was enough to shame Mu Chen. On this point alone, Su Kuang had been gloating since the day prior. Challenge Lu Qingfeng. Suaping was surprised that Su Kuang would mention this name, then he remembered that Su Kuang had lost to Lu Qingfeng. Yes, of course. Basically, you can win, against all the others except for Qin Shaotian. Su Kuang couldn't believe this. He opened his eyes wide in astonishment. He could challenge anyone except for Qin Shaotian? That was to say, he could win 3rd place with the Dark Dragon Hound. How awesome that would be! 5th place could not compare to 3rd place. It was 3rd place. He would be able to stand on the podium and receive the award. Are you serious? Su Kuang had to make sure. Suaping nodded slightly. He had not seen the other top 10 matches carefully and he believed that those people were most likely hiding their strength. And yet, he had a sense that the most dangerous among them was Qin Shoutian. If Suiping were to command the Dark Dragon Hound himself, he believed that beating Qi Shoutian was doable. But the same could not be said for Su Kuang. He could beat the others as long as he didn't challenge Qin Shoutian. After Suiping had given him an affirmative answer, Su Kuang began to tremble with excitement. He couldn't imagine that beautiful scene. He could crush a bunch of geniuses with the Dark Dragon Hound alone. "You truly are my dear teacher!" Su Kuang shouted while visibly thrilled. He never questioned Suiping's words for a second. He had seen the Dark Dragon Hound's skills, which had utterly shocked him. "All right now. It's about time to say the last goodbye," Suiping said. Su Kuang came back to his senses. "Do you have to say it in such an ominous way?" he complained. "Was it ominous? Don't worry. Go." Su Kuang left. Since no one customer was at the store, Suiping put Tang Ruyan back into the scroll and called So Lingyu over. It was time for them to leave. In the car, Suiping asked So Lingyu, "Are you ready?" So Lingyu took a deep breath. "Yes, I'm ready. I'll try my best no matter who I'm fighting." "No, I mean, sit tight." "What?" Boom. The engine roared and the car dashed away. Uptown area. The venue was crowded and the cheers never ended. The match had yet to begin. On the stage, famous singers were performing and cheerleaders wearing sexy costumes were dancing. The atmosphere was being warmed up. It was a good day, with the sun rising high in the sky. Information about the current top 10 winners was streaming on the large screens, as well as some videos of their previous battles. The audience would shout out in joy when they saw some of the classic moves. The most played video was the fight between Qin Shoutian and So Lingyu. That battle was regarded as one of the best on the internet and by many pet experts. Everyone believed that the champion would either be So Lingyu or Qin Shoutian, So Lingyu being the most likely victor. Currently, the poll on the internet showed that So Lingyu was thought to be the one most likely to win first place and her support rate was much higher than that of others. That level of popularity was understandable. After all, So Lingyu's dragon was able to severely injure the judge. Even the general public would have an idea about how terrifying the dragon was. Suiping drove to the venue and entered the stadium with So Lingyu, using a special corridor for participants. Hanging on the walls were large posters of the current top 10 winners. The corridor was like a hall of fame. Even Suiping was inspired by this atmosphere of honor. So Lingyu was deeply touched by the posters that she never expected to see. She could imagine what the participants would feel when they stepped in and saw their respective posters. Everyone would be choked up with emotions. Soon after, Suiping and So Lingyu were inside the venue. As in the previous rounds, So Lingyu went to the staging area and Suiping went to find his seat. "Look, it's So Lingyu. She's here. It is her. Oh my god!" Some people that noticed So Lingyu cried out in excitement, which got more people to look over. For a moment, everyone in the venue began to shout her name. Over 100,000 people were shouting the same name. The voice they generated was encouraging. So Lingyu was still unused to this. She trembled when she heard people shouting her name. It was because of excitement, nervousness, and sheer thrill. That had to be what a sense of honor felt like, right? Tears came to her eyes. She would never forget how she was feeling at the moment. This level of excitement was something everyone pursued. She sat down and looked over to the family members area to find Suiping. She knew that someone else deserved this honor more than she did. If those people knew that he was the one who gave me the pets and about what he's capable of, they would lose their minds. So Lingyu thought. Before she knew it, she had begun to admire Suiping. Soon, the other participants that day's challenge match had arrived at the staging area. There were only 20 people in the spacious staging area. As all the participants had arrived, the 4 commentators had gotten into the airship and flown up. The number of commentators had increased to 4 from the original 2. One could tell how important this day's round of matches was. They announced the rules and declared the start of the event. First, the challenge matches. The commentators invited the current top 10 winners to get on the stage. The participants can pick any one of the 10 to challenge. The commentators' voices echoed in the venue. The current top 10 winners were standing in a line on the stage. They all exhibited different kinds of momentum. Some of them looked fierce, some appeared to be gloomy and detached, some were calm and some even seemed to be weak. Solingya was the one who didn't stand out. She seemed to be one of the pushovers. But everyone that was about to challenge them knew that the girl was the most horrifying of the 10. The audience quieted down after the commentators' voices died away. Some people were watching the current top 10 winners and some people were eyeing the challengers. The latter were looking at each other as well. The top 10 winners were tough. Let me. In less than a minute, someone shouted and his voice was full of arrogance. People looked over. It was Su Kuang. He was deemed to have the potential to reach the top 10 as well but eventually lost to Lu Qingfeng. He was still a popular participant because everyone remembered his stunning performance. Su Kuang, who do you want to challenge? One of the commentators asked with a smile. Su Kuang raised his hand and pointed at someone on the stage. That gesture spoke to his arrogance while being a bit silly at the same time. Lu Qingfeng. Su Kuang shouted. He used astral powers so that everyone could hear him. Being a 6th rank battle pet warrior, he could send his voice to every corner when he used astral powers to amplify his voice. People were stunned still by his answer. He wanted to challenge Lu Qingfeng. Didn't he lose against him? Why would he want to challenge Lu Qingfeng again? He's courting death. A person standing next to Lu Qingfeng grinned. Qingfeng, I don't think that kid is willing to admit that you beat him. Lucky you. It'll be smooth sailing as you secure your place in the top 10. The top 10 winners could only be challenged a single time. Once they successfully defended their place, they would remain among the top 10. Therefore, the challengers had to make the most of it. Of course, most challengers would have worries, unless they were extremely confident about themselves. Lu Qingfeng snorted. Beating the same guy twice in a row would deprive him of the sense of achievement. Of course, this time, he would teach Su Kuang a good lesson so that he learned what humiliation truly meant. Challenge Lu Qingfeng. Evidently, neither could the commentator expect that the name Su Kuang mentioned would be Lu Qingfeng. But soon, the surprised commentator calmed himself down and announced the start of the first challenge in an excited voice. Su Kuang against Lu Qingfeng. Cheers broke out in the venue. Although it would be a fight with the same two people, the audience wasn't lacking in passion. It was the first match of the day and the audience was still full of energy and vigor. The cheers echoed all across the venue. The other 9 challengers were astounded by Su Kuang's answer. Wearing weird expressions, they 9 stared at Su Kuang. Of the 10 people standing on the stage, Lu Qingfeng definitely was not the easiest target. After watching the previous match between Lu Qingfeng and Su Kuang, everyone was of the conviction that Lu Qingfeng could make it to the top 5 easily. Su Kuang must have lost his mind to challenge a tough guy instead of picking out a weaker one. Not to mention that Lu Qingfeng had defeated him once before. Or, was Su Kuang able to progress by leaps and bounds within a day or two? Guys, it's me. Su Kuang waved to the other 9 challengers and shouted with a smile. The 9 did not know what to say. Don't talk like you are one of us. Do not drag us down to your craziness. The others left the stage, clearing the space for Lu Qingfeng and Su Kuang. At the moment, standing on the stage was Lu Qingfeng and a judge. The judge was also at the titled rank, but it wasn't the one who had been hurt by the Moonfrost Dragon. The wounded judge was in the spectators' seats. His injured arm was wrapped up in a bandage and the new arm was growing out. Regenerating broken limbs required advanced healing techniques and a high medical expenditure. It was the first time that a judge had to be replaced in the Elite League. Good luck. Soling Yu returned to the staging area. While she brushed against Su Kuang, she wished him luck. She had become familiar with him due to his frequent visits. His opponent, Lu Qingfeng, was from the Lu family, which was Su Ping Store's competitor. She had high hopes that Lu Qingfeng would lose. Don't worry. My teacher rented one of his battle pets to me. I'll show this guy how it's done. Su Kuang smiled and his tone was arrogant. That was how he always was. No guts, no glory. He would not fake humility unless he were in front of the truly powerful. Really? Soling Yu was surprised to hear that Su Ping had rented one of his pets to Su Kuang. It was the first time she had heard of the renting business. I won't worry then. Soling Yu smiled. She had great faith in Soling Yu's battle pets. Su Kuang smiled and waved her goodbye before he stepped on the stage. The seal covering the stage was opened, giving out a dark blue hue. Su Kuang jumped onto the stage. The seal closed off immediately. I spared your life last time, but I don't think you appreciated my goodwill. I'm surprised to see that you cannot wait to seek your doom. Lu Qingfeng stared at Su Kuang indifferently. To him, Su Kuang was as good as dead. Su Kuang broke into laughter. I lost to you because I couldn't put an ability of mine into full play. Now, it is time for you to see the truth. An ability. Lu Qingfeng raised his eyebrows but he didn't take it seriously. Su Kuang's bluffing, he thought. Yes, my monetary ability. Su Kuang grinned. He stood just behind the red line and opened up two swirls from which two battle pets hopped out. One was his battle pet, the apparition ghoul, a 9th rank pet that he had given Su Ping to train. The other one was the dark dragon hound. The appearance of the apparition ghoul stirred up a sensation. That apparition ghoul had demonstrated amazing abilities during Su Kuang's previous battle against Lu Qingfeng. The apparition ghoul was a pet of the demon family, but of all the 9th rank demon pets, it wasn't particularly popular. Aside from its ugly features, an apparition ghoul's abilities were mundane. Apparition ghouls were able to fight at close quarters, exert spiritual control, and launch long-range attacks. It might seem that the pet was versatile, but the fact was that apparition ghouls weren't proficient in any of the skills. Some of the more outstanding 8th rank battle pets with spiritual control skills were able to kill an apparition ghoul. Honestly speaking, having a 9th rank bloodline was the only selling point of the pet. When an apparition ghoul reached the peak of the 9th rank, true, the pet could overwhelm some pets of the 8th rank. However, compared to all the pets of the 9th rank, apparition ghouls were just average. The other pet was the dark dragon hound. Again, of the demon family. However, the dark dragon hound merely had a middle rank bloodline. Many people took one look at the dark dragon hound and lost interest immediately. Their focus was still on the apparition ghoul. Was Su Kuang challenging Lu Qingfeng again because this pet had progressed? You done? Su Kuang had stopped his actions. Lu Qingfeng took a look at the two battle pets. He, too, turned his focus to the apparition ghoul. Same as everyone, he believed that Su Kuang was challenging him because he either had a new battle pet or the battle pet he used before had improved somehow. As Lu Qingfeng was gazing at the apparition ghoul, he felt something wrong, something unsettling. It was as if something was targeting him. That was a strange sensation. He was like a frog being gazed at by a viper. Was he the prey? Lu Qingfeng frowned. He put his guard up. He didn't consider Su Kuang a threat, but he would never underestimate his opponent. After all, Su Kuang was a star student in the Ares Academy and should know better than to make this challenge for no reason at all. It was illogical that Su Kuang would want to challenge him merely because he was bitter about losing. After all, if Su Kuang lost again this time, he would have to kiss a place at the top 10 goodbye. Well. Inside the seal, the judge who was standing in the air suddenly frowned. Aside from how the rest acted, he only cast a glance at the apparition ghoul before his attention was caught by the dark dragon hound. He had an acute perception. He detected a well-hidden and extremely dangerous energy coming from the dark dragon hound. This battle pet is strange, the judge thought. It wasn't common for a dark dragon hound with a 6th rank bloodline to emit such a dangerous aura. Su Kuang was challenging Lu Qingfeng. Could it be that the dark dragon hound was the reason why Su Kuang was confident to challenge Lu Qingfeng again? The judge squinted. He had a feeling that the battle was going to be an interesting one. Since you have readied your pets, it's my turn now. Lu Qingfeng took his eyes off from the battle pets standing in front of Su Kuang. Lu Qingfeng raised his hand slowly and 4 swirls appeared around him. Roar! A rare dragon crawled out. This was Crystal Wing Dragon, ranked 15 among all dragons. As the dragon emerged on the stage, people began to scream even louder. Dragons would always be the most charming pets. The dragon stomped on the ground and let out a roar, a simple cry. The dragon didn't use any skills because the judge had not announced the start of the match yet. That roar was just a declaration of war, to show that it was fearless. Following the dragon was a dark haze that had blocked out the light around Lu Qingfeng. That was a pet of the demon family that was generating a black fog in a twisted shape. The pet was Lu Qingfeng's major pet, the Nether Ghost. Nether Ghosts were proficient in spirit attacks and were natural enemies for battle pets skilled in close-quarter combat. The Nether Ghost was almost immune to all the physical attacks because its body could dematerialize. The appearance of the Nether Ghost excited people more than ever. Not even the Crystal Wing Dragon was able to compare with the Nether Ghost. The dark fog around the Nether Ghost had absorbed all the light within a radius of a dozen meters around Lu Qingfeng, turning that area to a pitch-dark setting. It was daytime outside the area. Night seemed to have fallen on the stage. Coming out after the Nether Ghost were 2 battle pets with 9th rank bloodlines. Both of the battle pets were Lu Qingfeng's secondary pets. They would be there to support or to heal. Lu Qingfeng had a very clear plan about how to pair his pets. The major pet, the Nether Ghost, would control the spirit, the Crystal Wing Dragon was in charge of violent attacks and the 2 secondary pets would assist the other 2 so that the Crystal Wing Dragon could perform to full potential while the Nether Ghost maintained spiritual control. A person would only need 1 sharp blade. The other tools were available to serve the blade. Since both sides were ready, the judge immediately announced the beginning of the match. Su Kuang wore a serious look. He was a proud young man but he would never make light of his opponents. The Dark Dragon Hound's performance did amaze him. Still, Su Kuang knew very well that Lu Qingfeng couldn't be underestimated. In regards to their previous fight, he had a feeling that he had not pushed Lu Qingfeng hard enough for the latter to use his full strength yet. He may have a 5th battle pet hiding somewhere. Anyway, I have to win. My teacher said that I would. Su Kuang encouraged himself. He focused his mind. Apparition Ghoul, Corpse Mountain. Dark Dragon Hound, the floor is yours. Enjoy yourself. Su Kuang sent out 2 orders. He was counting on the Dark Dragon Hound to win the match and the glory that came with it. He trusted the Dark Dragon Hound completely. Charge! Roar! Roar! The battle broke out. Both the Apparition Ghoul and the Dark Dragon Hound could feel how determined and resolute Su Kuang was. The pet's will to fight was ignited. They snarled a threat simultaneously. The deadly roar from the Apparition Ghoul sounded hoarse, as if ghosts were calling. The skill was meant to deter opponents. The other pet let out a dragon's roar with the same deterrent effect. Everyone was stunned speechless when the dragon's roar came out from the Dark Dragon Hound. Even the judge was struck dumb with astonishment. Out of control, what? Lu Qingfeng found the Dark Dragon Hound's roar familiar. He felt a chill running down his spine. Something sprang to his mind. He thought of another horrifying pet. That mutated Moonfrost Dragon. The Dark Dragon Hound was roaring just like the Moonfrost Dragon did. The contempt in Lu Qingfeng's eyes vanished, fear took its place. Was he hallucinating? This was too much of a coincidence. Was the pet? He suddenly remembered that Su Kuang bought the top 5 package from that store. The Moonfrost Dragon's master was the girl aiming for the championship. Both the pets were being trained in the same store. He instantly felt a chill coming from the solace of his feet, making him shudder. Soon, he settled his mind and his emotions. The Moonfrost Dragon was unusually horrifying, but it was a dragon, to begin with. Dragons were born to be powerful, and after special training, it wasn't strange that it could exhibit uncommon power. But he was only facing a 6th-rank dark dragon hound at the moment. Nevertheless, just to be safe, Lu Qingfeng decided to alter his previous plan. He was going to bypass the dark dragon hound and attack Su Kuang directly. He was young. However, as the future family head of the Lu family, he was steady and could focus on the big picture. Charge! Lu Qingfeng was ready. His nether ghost was deterred by the dragon's roar for a bit, but that lasted for less than half a second. Under Lu Qingfeng's command, the nether ghost let out a shrill and unpleasant cry that was inaudible for most people. But that evil cry was darting toward the opposite side like a sharp needle. Su Kuang had anticipated this move. The moment the nether ghost started its skill, Su Kuang told his apparition ghoul to unleash Ghost Whispers, a spiritual defensive skill that would fend off the incoming attack. Roar! Lu Qingfeng's crystal winged dragon roared and rushed at them. The moment the dragon sprinted out, some lines formed by astral powers appeared on its body. The dragon's speed, strength, defense, and even reaction were elevated instantly. Charge! Flames rose from the crystal winged dragon. The scorching heat ignited the air across the stage. Even people outside the seal could feel the temperature rapidly rising. It was as if there were a massive furnace on the stage, burning away. Su Kuang gulped. He was a bit nervous. In his previous battle, he had suffered a lot because of the crystal winged dragon, which was a crazy and wild pet. The dragon's skin was tough and its strength was mighty. Su Kuang was unable to defeat the dragon back then. Can the dark dragon hound do it? His confidence from before dropped a bit as the crystal winged dragon gained momentum. The dark dragon hound showed its teeth. The hound stepped forward slowly, with bolts of lightning flickering around its 4 limbs. That was the Thunder Sprint, an enhanced version. Attack! The dark dragon hound felt Su Kuang's will was conveyed through the contract. The dark dragon hound was ready. The roaring flames were coming at it, casting a red hue into its eyes. The dark dragon hound was in a daze. It seemed as if that evil man were standing behind and telling it to attack. The man was whispering into its ears. The dark dragon hound felt it had returned to those harsh environments, and the voice was repeating, "Attack!" Hiss! The dark dragon hound showed its fangs and its eyes turned blood red. Attack! Attack! A dark aura oozed out from the dark dragon hound. All of a sudden, that aura grew and tumbled around. A huge wolf that was over a dozen meters tall came into being behind the dark dragon hound. The wolf stood on the ground, ready to make a move. No! The judge standing in the air turned ghastly pale the moment he saw the ferocious wolf. The crystal winged dragon was still charging forward, and it, too, had blood-red eyes. In a fit of rage, the crystal winged dragon didn't notice anything different. The running dragon shook the stage. In an instant, the dragon had reached the dark dragon hound, ready to tear the latter apart. The dragon waved its burning claws. The heat was distorting the air. The dark dragon hound slowly raised its head. There was extreme violence hidden in that pair of eyes. Destruction! Roar! The dark dragon hound suddenly leaped forward, and so did the huge wolf figure behind it. In less than a second, the dark dragon hound had pressed the crystal winged dragon to the ground, and the huge wolf figure had the dragon completely under control. The wolf's fangs, which were made of black flames, pierced into the crystal winged dragon. Those fangs were as sharp as swords. The wolf bit into the crystal winged dragon's shoulder and tore up a huge piece of flesh. The flames on the wolf's fangs had scorched the flesh black. Under the layer of burnt flesh, the dragon's blood was boiling. The flames had boiled the blood. The excruciating pain woke up the crystal-winged dragon. The redness in its eyes began to fade away. The dragon stared at the ferocious figure, while roaring in fear and anger. The dragon's scales stood up, summoning the fire protection while it also tried hard to push away that black monster. Even so, as soon as the fire protection was up, the dark flames had burnt through it within a second. Pff. The huge wolf formed by the dark flames ripped off one of the dragon's wings. Blood was pouring down. That scene quieted everyone down. How is that? Lu Qingfeng's mind was slipping away. The crystal-winged dragon had been assisted by the 2 secondary pets with 9th-rank bloodlines. At the moment, the crystal-winged dragon should have strength almost equal to the titled rank. How could the dragon lose the advantage? How could the dragon be completely overpowered? While he was still in shock, he suddenly noticed that all the light had vanished and he couldn't even feel his pets. The only thing he could feel was that a pair of eyes were staring at him from behind, a pair of eyes that spoke of violence and coldness. Those were the eyes of a crazy monster. No. Lu Qingfeng felt his heart had stopped beating. Death. It was because he was seeing death. No, no. He was seized with terror. He was going to lead the Lu family in the future. Was he about to die there? That could not happen. Roar. Within the darkness, a ferocious figure leaped across. It was the dark dragon hound which had run past the crystal-winged dragon and was going after Lu Qingfeng directly. When the dark dragon hound was about 20 meters away from Lu Qingfeng, it suddenly felt a piercing pain in the depths of its spirit, of its brain. Even its soul was hurting. Roar, roar, roar. The pain enraged the dark dragon hound. It lost its mind and the violent aura around it grew even more intense. Staring at Lu Qingfeng madly, the dark dragon hound threw itself at him. Whoosh! The dark dragon hound was 5 meters away. Lu Qingfeng believed that his death was near when a man came to his rescue. It was the judge. Over a dozen astral shields with mysterious patterns appeared in front of the judge. Bang! The moment the shields were set up, they were crushed into pieces by the dark dragon hound. Panicked, the judge raised his hand. An oval shield flew out. It was a secret artifact. Bang! The dark dragon hound's claws smashed into the shield and the shield was pushed back. The judge flew backward for 3 meters. That impact! The judge couldn't believe this. When he looked closer, he noticed that blood was seeping out from the dark dragon hound's fur and hair. Apparently, that strong impact had hurt the hound seriously. The judge collected his thoughts and shouted to Su Kuang in the distance, "Stop! You won the match Enzes." Su Kuang had yet to come back to his senses. Everything that went down had happened at lightning speed. He didn't even see when the dark dragon hound ran toward Lu Qingfeng and was clueless as to why the judge would come down. Judges would interfere when they deemed that the life of one of the participants was in danger. This participant would be declared as the loser. A titled ranked judge would have never interfered for no reason. They would only stop the match when the danger was fatal. Did I win? Su Kuang could not believe this. It was a bit fast, wasn't it? The judge's shout pulled Su Kuang back to reality. He quickly ordered the dark dragon hound to stop. However, that was when things took a turn for the worse. Roar! The dark dragon hound growled with a thundering rage. It ignored Su Kuang's command. The pain from its wounds irritated the dark dragon hound and the power of the contract over its mind was becoming vague. As such, at this moment, the dark dragon hound unleashed the violence that it had pushed to the depths of its heart. The killing intent and cruelty had consumed the dark dragon hound, heart and soul. Destruction. Once again, puffs of black smoke rose from the dark dragon hound and the smoke soon grew to become a horrifying wolf. This time, the wolf was over 20 meters tall. The towering wolf landed on the ground on all fours and emitted an energy that could only be found in the most ferocious monsters. What? The judge was terrified. The dark dragon hound was out of control. He could see that there was no clarity left in the red eyes of the battle pet. Feel that killing intent? How many deaths would the pet have to experience to accumulate this much killing intent? No. It's getting out of control. What kind of monster is that? A dark dragon hound? That cannot be a dark dragon hound. AI The ones sitting in the front rows, members from the major families and the municipal government, as well as some professors, could tell that something was wrong. They, too, were seized with terror. The dark dragon hound was like a monster from hell. They could feel that coldness even from the place they were seated. The dark dragon hound's terrifying abilities were not the most shocking aspect. What appalled people was its cruelty. Not even some pets of the demon family at the peak could exhibit this level of violence. What kind of training had this pet gone through? Open up the seal. An official in suit and tie bellowed in haste. Chapter 349 Regaining Control. The seal was rippling as it was opening up. But things were escalating fast on the stage. Roar! The dark dragon hound had descended into a frenzied state. The flames around it were burning high. Many levels of shields had been set up and that action had been embedded into its instincts. 9th rank Thunder Protection. 9th rank Goddess of Ice. 9th rank Fire Shield. 9th rank Earth Goddess Shelter. 9th rank Dark Hell Shield. 5 9th rank defensive skills were released at the same time and they covered up the dark dragon hound, fitting together perfectly. Not even a warrior at the legendary rank could have cracked that defense easily. Those 9th rank skills had completely astounded the judge and Lu Qingfeng. Skills of every kind. All of them were at the 9th rank. Generally speaking, it would be hard for average 9th rank pets to learn the defensive skills of their respective families. However, this dark dragon hound with a middle rank bloodline had unleashed 5 defensive skills in one go. 5 of them. Many titled battle pet warriors in the audience were deeply shaken because of this. The rest of the audience was dumbfounded, completely unable to believe this. Any of those skills could have stirred up a sensation, but there were actually 5 of them. They had never seen a more spectacular situation. Roar! The dark dragon hound was still roaring. The 20-meter-tall wolf mimicked the motions, then it pounced at the judge. That was fast. The judge was terrified. He summoned his pets immediately because he knew that he alone would no longer be able to stop that dark dragon hound. Anyone would find that notion inconceivable. The judge was not someone who had just reached the titled rank. He was already at the intermediate realm. The previous judge was at the lower position of the titled rank. After he almost lost his life to the Moonfrost Dragon, the government sought the current judge just in case the Moonfrost Dragon would lose control at the finals and take away someone's life. After all the participants who had made it this far were precious talents. The judge never expected that he would have to intervene so early, not to mention that even he would also feel pressured. Roar! A dragon's head snuck out from a swirl. Cyan scales that were tough as steel covered up the dragon's head and neck. That was a 9th rank Windwing dragon, one that ranked at the top 20, which was also a rare dragon. Dragons would mate across subspecies and there was a great variety of them. The top 30 dragons were considered rare. Money was not the only thing needed to acquire a rare dragon. One would have to have connections and resources. It was an adult Windwing dragon at the upper position of the 9th rank. Roar! The Windwing dragon was halfway from getting out of the swirl. The wolf made of black flames was approaching. That stunning violence from the wolf even stunned the dragon. Roar! The huge wolf howled in rage and wielded its claws. Before the Windwing dragon could rise to the situation, the wolf had pinned the dragon's head on the ground. There was a bang. The huge claw made of black flames stomped on the Windwing dragon's head and the flames were burning its scales. At this moment, the dragon had lost all of its dignity. No one could make any sound. The elder from the Lu family had dashed close to the seal just then and was about to exhale in relief before this happened. Right then, his breath stopped and a dull look was reflected on his face. The huge wolf of black flames placed one foot on the wind-winged dragon, then stretched its neck and opened its burning mouth. The heat and the flames closed in on the judge's hair was reduced to dust, and all of that happened within a mere second. What? The judge's pupils contracted. His wind-winged dragon had been defeated. That was a dragon at the upper position of the 9th rank. Those sharp, pointed fangs made of flames were inching closer, and they were the only things he could see. Right then, he was feeling the arrival of death. He had no way out. Death. Whoosh! When both the judge and Lu Qingfeng had lost all hope, all of a sudden, the fangs stopped moving. They stopped right before touching them. They stopped without any warning. Then, the huge wolf came to a stop. At the same time, the dark dragon hound, which was hiding behind all the 9th rank defensive skills, looked up. Clear-eyed once again, the dark dragon hound looked through the many shields to a certain place where the audience was. Just then, the dark dragon hound heard a cold voice on its mind. The moment that voice reached its mind, all the killing intent and all the raging violence faded away instantly. The dark dragon hound's consciousness was restored. "What do you think you're doing?" that voice asked a question. That voice had no emotion and was even colder than ice. It was like someone was looking down from the top of the clouds. The dark dragon hound was more than familiar with that voice, which was deeply rooted in its soul. The vague contract power came back to him at that moment, but as the voice faded away, the contract power became ambiguous again. But the dark dragon hound's mind had gone back to normal. It could feel the existence of the contract, albeit faintly. "Stop! Stop now!" Then, the dark dragon hound heard Su Kuang's voice. He was about to cry. "Please stop!" Su Kuang was practically begging. The rental contract passed the voice to the dark dragon hound. It could understand Su Kuang's words. The dark dragon hound knew it had to follow the voice. Whew! The dark dragon hound stopped attacking. The huge wolf that was stepping on the wind-winged dragon turned back into a ball of flames and flew back to the dark dragon hound through the 5 layers of protection. The dark dragon hound was recycling energy. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. It was extremely stingy when it came to energy. It would never leave any of it go to waste. The layers of protection disappeared into the dark dragon hound. Instantly, the stage became quite open and spacious. Did it stop? The working staff as well as the elder from the Lu family stared in disbelief for a moment, then breathed in relief. The judge was in a daze as well. He saw the horrifying figure vanishing in front of his eyes. The sunlight was cascading into the venue through the ceiling. He felt as if he had gotten his life back. He took a look at his wind-winged dragon that was crawling up from the ground. Half of the dragon's head had been burnt. The dragon had lost many scales. The wound was serious. His dragon was overpowered within the split of a second. What on earth was that thing? Lu Qinfen was still standing behind the judge. Eventually, Lu Qingfeng managed to come back to his senses. He gulped. He had always been known to be able to keep his cool in the face of danger. Even so, he had almost soaked his pants. What he had just experienced was simply horrifying. Lu Qingfeng thought about how embarrassed he was at the moment. He clenched both his teeth and his fists. That was humiliating. The seal had opened by then. The elder of the Lu family hurried over to the stage. He was relieved to see that Lu Qingfeng was okay. Then the elder of the Lu family turned to the judge and noticed that half of the dragon's head had been burnt. Once again, the elder of the Lu family was seized with terror. "It's over now," the judge said to the elder of the Lu family with a bitter mood. The judge also felt ashamed. Even though he was a titled battle pet warrior, he had almost failed to protect Lu Qingfeng while also having been on the verge of losing his own life. The elder was not happy to hear this result. It had been a challenging match and Lu Qingfeng lost. That was to say, Lu Qingfeng had been excluded from the top 10 and he would never have another chance to make a comeback. The future family head of the Lu family had failed to keep his top 10 spot, not to mention reaching the top 5. How ridiculous that was! The Mu family's young master would not be spared from becoming a laughingstock because he was still a young student. But Lu Qingfeng had graduated from the academy a long time before. Still, he had failed to win a place in the top 10. That was enough for people to laugh at him. Of course, the elder of the Lu family knew that Lu Qingfeng was not the one to be blamed. It was his opponent who was too strange. The elder couldn't help but take another look at the dark dragon hound and Su Kuang who was running towards the pet. How could anyone tell that a challenger would be this horrifying? That young man was not weaker than that strange girl. The dark dragon hound was not second to the Moonfrost dragon. Maybe it was even more powerful than the dragon. The only thing the elder of the Lu family was happy about was that Su Kuang had gained control of the dark dragon hound in time. Otherwise, Lu Qingfeng could have been killed, which would be a great loss for the Lu family. They would have to pick out another future leader from the remaining candidates. But the alternatives would never be as good as the first choice. The Lu family would have to spend more money and resources to groom a new future leader. Let's go! The elder of the Lu family helped Lu Qingfeng off the stage. They no longer needed to stay there since they had lost. They had suffered enough humiliation. Lu Qingfeng returned to his senses. He gazed at Su Kuang and at the horrifying hound in the distance. Again, his eyes lost focus. But soon, he turned away in low spirits. He called back his battle pets and left with the elder. He had a 5th battle pet and other secret skills. He never got a chance to use any of them. He wanted to but was no longer able. He thought he was saving up those moves for Qin Shaotian or Yalongtian. But his time at the Elite League had come to an end. He lost. Lu Qingfeng kept his head low as he stepped off the stage. The losing party would never be the center of attention. He bit his lips so hard that blood coursed down to his mouth. He was willing to trade anything as long as he could wash away this humiliation. That academy! He would have to go and study there no matter what. After Lu Qingfeng left, the judge also retrieved his dragon as well. With troubled feelings, the judge said to Su Kuang, "You won. You were also able to control your pet in time. Good for you. Otherwise, you would have been disqualified even if you were the winner." Su Kuang nodded. He was extremely afraid just then, like everyone else. He would have been disqualified if the pet got out of control. A pet out of control would no longer listen to the battle pet warrior, or serve as proof of the battle pet warrior's strength. That was the rules of the Elite League. Good, good, Su Kuang felt lucky. It was a good thing that his begging worked. He would have been screwed if the dark dragon hound hadn't been restrained at the end. He was full of excitement and fear as he stared at the dark dragon hound. This was his teacher's pet. So stunning. But it was so hard to control. So, that was what his teacher would use, right? Su Kuang turned to a place in the audience, wearing a look of admiration. He almost lost his life. He was going to demand twice the original payment. Besides, he would request to have another judge, or a bodyguard, to be in there with him if they still wanted him as the judge. He would not agree to stay within the seal alone. Who could say for sure if there wouldn't be one or more horrifying monsters? He was lucky that the dark dragon hound was not completely out of control. Next time, his life would reach an end if some pet went completely out of control. The more he thought about it, the angrier the judge became. He was just trying to preside over a match at the Elite League. Those freakish young participants had turned that made this a dangerous occupation. He had considered this as an easy job that could also bring him some money. How could I have known that even this job was life-threatening? Ah, life is hard. The judge's announcement pulled the audience out of their daze. They saw Lu Qingfeng leaving in a depressed mood, they also saw the huge burns left on the ground. All the signs told them that the unbelievable battle did take place. Lu Qingfeng's defeat was instantaneous. Even the judge had almost failed to stop the tragedy. The most horrifying part was that the judge's adult dragon had been overwhelmed the second it came out. The battle turned out to be even more thrilling than Solingyu's. After a short moment of silence, a round of loud applause and cheers broke out. The sound grew louder and louder, until it filled up every corner of the venue. At the moment, the young man standing on the stage had become the most glamorous star. Su Kuang stood on the stage and looked around. He was so excited that he was clenching his fists as he shook. This is how a man should live. To live life dazzlingly and proudly. A man should acquire the strength that matched that lifestyle so he could afford to be willful. Sir, Su Kuang gazed at a certain place in the audience. He could not see Suiping clearly given the distance, but he was still expressing his admiration through his eyes. I cannot believe he won. In the staging area, the remaining top 10 contenders as well as the other 9 challengers looked equally stunned. The idea that Su Kuang would win never crossed their minds, not to mention that he could win so quickly, so marvelously. The dark dragon hound was exhibiting a force that was inconceivable for common people. This pet displayed so many 9th rank skills of various types, as if they were worthless. One had to marvel at the dark dragon hound's power of comprehension. I cannot believe there would be another monster of such caliber. Many turned their gazes from Su Kuang to a girl in the staging area. One terrifying girl was stunning enough. They had never imagined that they would see another person like her. That guy, Yalongtian, wore a concerned expression. The fact that Su Kuang defeated Lu Qingfeng was not the major source of his concern. However, Su Kuang's battle pet instantly crushed the judge's adult dragon. That was appalling. Su Kuang was just a minor player that Yalongtian had never paid attention to. Yet, as of this moment, Yalongtian was more worried about Su Kuang than the other way around. Su Kuang turned out to be just as tough as the girl. At the same time, Qin Shaotian was worried as well. The tightly knitted eyebrows indicated that he was no longer as calm as before. He had stopped gazing blankly into the sky. Qin Shaotian had not thought much of Su Kuang when he met him in Suiping's store. It came as a surprise, for the common-looking and average Su Kuang to have hidden such a horrifying battle pet. He went to that store. Could it be that? An idea came into Qin Shaotian's mind. He squinted his eyes. He had realized that there was something in common between the girl and Su Kuang, and that common feature was the reason why their battle pets could be so powerful. In the meantime, students of the Ares Academy had gathered in another place far from the staging area, including Mu Chen. He could have used his family's influence to get a better seat, but he chose not to since he would rather stay with his peers. After all, there were also talents among those students. They could turn into his connections in the future and strengthen the Mu family's network and resources when he took over the family's management. He sat in the middle, with the other students fawning around him, like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon. He had just graduated from the academy and managed to reach the top 100 in that year's elite league. It was quite a good result already. Besides, he had done well enough to be ranked among the top 30. At the moment, Mu Chen, as well as the others around him, were staring at the young man on the stage in bewilderment. They should be familiar with that young man, but he seemed to have become a complete stranger. Was this the Su Kuang they knew? The one who was the most shocked was Mu Chen. He couldn't wrap his head around this. He still remembered how Su Kuang would constantly challenge him in the academy, but would always end up losing. A guy who had lost to him at least 100 times had not only achieved a good result. He had also won a challenge and made it to the top 10. The strength Su Kuang demonstrated was unusual. Even the judge had almost lost his life. The battle pet managed to overpower a 9th rank dragon. Mu Chen stared blankly with his mouth agape for a long moment. In the front rows, the representatives from the major families and the government wore grave expressions. They were more concerned about the strength of the dark dragon hound, its skills, and the number of skills it could use. Besides, there was the killing intent that even terrified them. All of those features were rarely seen in a pet. Such a pet would be even more cherished than the 3 rarest dragons. They even wondered if the dark dragon hound was an unknown monster under the guise of a dark dragon hound. Still, of course, the dark dragon hound was the real deal. The only possible explanation was that the dark dragon hound was unique. The bloodline was the determining factor in regards to which rank a pet could reach, but the pet's strength would be up to its aptitude. It went without saying that this dark dragon hound had the best aptitude. It had also received professional, comprehensive training. Combat strength, power, skills, and cruelty. The dark dragon hound had everything. Some pets had great combat strength, power, and skills as well, but they would be lacking when it came to having a cruel nature. Just like students who had just come out from the ivory towers, those pets would be trophy pets. When they encountered violent beasts, those pets would freak out and be unable to demonstrate their full abilities. It was obvious that the dark dragon hound had more than enough stock in the cruelty department. Truth be told, the dark dragon hound might be a bit too violent. Just the murderous and evil aura surrounding it was enough to scare most of the common battle pets. With such powers, he may even be able to make it to the international stage, an elder of the Zhou family stated. No one responded to his comment, but they did agree. Even the judge at the intermediate position of the titled rank had almost died on the stage. The dark dragon hound had left them on edge. They couldn't believe that this pet was merely at the 6th rank. A dragon at the 9th rank was intimidated by a 6th rank battle pet. Such a humiliation. I'll have a talk with the principal of the Ares Academy to find out about the boy. Our Mew family will take him if the boy has not joined any organization. An elder from the Mew family smiled. The others replied with a snort because they had similar thoughts. Amid the cheers, Su Kuang got off the stage, and as he went back to his seat, all eyes were on him. I won. Su Kuang approached Solingyu and grinned from ear to ear. At this moment, the audience became excited. The 2 most unique participants were standing together and they seemed to know each other. Was that a declaration of war? Some of the younger and most fervorous people in the audience had already come up with their possible dialogue. I won. I will challenge you next. You have a long way to go before you can defeat me. Really? I cannot wait to see which one is stronger, your dragon or my dark dragon hound. We will see. Fine. Time will tell. What a hostile interchange between 2 powerful participants. But the reality was this. Solingyu smiled after hearing Su Kuang's words and exclaimed, I thought he would lend you his dragon or that skeleton. I didn't know it was this black dog. I never thought that this black dog could be so strong. It's even more terrifying than my frosty dragon? Skeleton? Su Kuang was surprised. Were those Su Ping's other 2 pets? The dragon you mentioned, is it the Inferno dragon? Su Kuang asked in curiosity. Solingyu nodded. Wow, Su Kuang did not know what to say. Seized with excitement, the first thing that came to mind was that he definitely had to borrow that Inferno dragon sometime. What could the dragon do when the dark dragon hound was already this powerful? The 2 went back to their seats after their conversation. The venue eventually quieted down. The judge had left the premises. The commentators didn't understand what had happened. To keep the excitement going and make time for the judge to return, they kept on talking about the battle between Su Kuang and Lu Qingfeng. However, the commentators didn't dare to talk about too many details. Sure, they could warm up the atmosphere, but Lu Qingfeng was from the Lu family, which valued their dignity. The commentators feared the family's retaliation should they talk in too much detail about the battle. The commentators would never offend such a major family, otherwise, they would die without anyone knowing. That was the hard thing about this job. Luckily, the commentators didn't have to endure for long. The judge returned. He brought along a supporting judge. The judge made the introduction, mentioning that the other person was also a titled judge. The reason for having two judges, according to the first judge, was to avoid situations where the participants were hurt, upsetting the following matches because one could not help out in time. Of course, some of the smarter people were able to tell that the main reason was that the judge was afraid of dying. That was understandable, though, considering that thrilling battle. No one had imagined that the Elite League's matches at the Longjiang base city would have evolved to such a scary level. Those matches were as outstanding as the top 10 battles on the continent stage. The two judges got to the stage and the challenges continued. Some participants were speechless after seeing two judges. It had to be the first time for matches to be overseen by two judges since the beginning of the Elite League in the Longjiang base city. Long-lasting rules had been altered this year. Some participants forced a bitter smile. They were downright unfortunate to be playing this year with those freaks. The matches continued. The other challengers began to pick from the remaining top 10 winners. Everyone was avoiding Sol Lingyu and Qin Shoutian. No one would be stupid enough to go after them. As of this moment, both the netizens and the other participants were of the conviction that they would become the champion and the runner-up. To challenge them? What's wrong with staying alive? Soon, Ye Hao and Su Yanning were challenged. Their matches were fierce, but they managed to defend their places. They merely used one pet each, but those pets amazed the audience with their 8th rank abilities. They weren't the most powerful two in the top 10, but they were good enough to stay at number 7 or 8. Several others were challenged, but all of them had successfully defended their places, except for one. The participant couldn't be challenged by a second person. That was to say, other than Su Kuang, several of the 9 challengers would have to give up. They would have to be confident enough to issue the challenge before everyone else. The only other option left was to challenge Qin Shoutian or Sol Lingyu. But challenging those two would not lead to a good result, and the challengers might end up wounded or dead if they were unfortunate. The challenges came to an end. At last, the final top 10 winners were generated. There was only a small change compared to the first results. Only 2 of the challengers managed to enter the top 10. As it had always been, the challenge matches were like appetizers for the next round. The truly powerful participants would normally win in their group matches. For the less lucky participants who were grouped with several powerful participants, the losing party would choose to challenge the winners as soon as possible to get a place in the top 10. Su Kuang was the perfect example. The hesitant ones were not the kind of talent that the Elite League would want to pick out. After all, the Elite League was meant to pick out 5 people from each base city. 5 for each city. A place among the top 10 but not in the top 5 would be pointless for the major families. Numbers 6 to 10 would only be accounted for as personal achievements. The challenge matches had concluded. Next, the top 10 would draw lots to continue the competition. Before this, the cheerleaders had entered the stage to soften the atmosphere with their performance, which also served as an intermission. The audience would have to wait through this if they wanted to see the following matches. Some took the opportunity to use the restroom. Soon, the atmosphere was warmed up. The cheerleaders exited the stage and the commentators returned. Everyone turned their sights to the large screens. The names were going to be picked out randomly. The people in the audience and the participants were holding their breaths. Soon, the names of each pair were shown on the screen. Sol Lingyu stared at the screen. She was relieved to see that her opponent was not Qin Shoutian. Sure, she had defeated him once, but she still didn't wish to confront him again. He seemed dangerous, and the only leverage she had was the Moonfrost Dragon. I hope I can defeat them by myself one day, Sol Lingyu said to herself. Soon, all 5 pairs were determined. Sol Lingyu would fight Ye Hao. Su Kuang would go against the young master from the Zhou family. Qin Shoutian vs Su Yanning. Ye Longtian would fight against the other challenger who had moved up to the top 10. And, Mu Yuanshao's opponent was a student. Sol Lingyu turned her eyes to Ye Hao, who sat in the distance. Ye Hao was looking at her as well. He produced a forced smile. Su Yanying was gazing at Qin Shaotian. She felt quite scared when the latter eventually turned to see her. She sensed that this Qin family youth was not as friendly as before. He won't kill me, will he? She thought. Su Yanying and Ye Hao exchanged eye contact. Misery loves company. I think we reached the end of our journey, Ye Hao heaved a sigh. Su Yanying nodded. Yes. But I'm happy enough. Yesterday, many private companies approached me, wanting to sign a long-term contract with me. They offer good pay and benefits, more than what I can make as an explorer. Ye Hao cautioned her. Tread carefully with the private companies. They tend to take you to complete dangerous jobs. Try to find a good explorer's team. It'll be safer and you can still make decent money. Su Yanying nodded. I know. Other teams are offering me jobs as well. I will think about it. Ye Hao nodded and looked into the distance, and just happened to see Su Kuang smiling an arrogant smile. Ye Hao pulled a long face. That guy. He wasn't that strong. I cannot believe he now is one of us. I think getting one of the top 5 places won't be an issue for him. Su Yanying turned that way. That stunning Su Kuang was making faces and sticking his tongue out to challenge Ye Hao. She put on a diplomatic smile. If I'm not mistaken, his dark dragon hound was trained in Mr. Su's store as well. Ye Hao was surprised. In Mr. Su's store? Then how come our pets aren't? He must have spent more money than we did, Su Yanying replied. She knew Mr. Su's personality quite well. Ye Hao, in the audience. Su Ping leaned against his chair, yawning. He was so bored that he almost fell asleep. He would have fallen asleep if it weren't for the fact that Su Kuang failed to control that dark dragon hound halfway into that battle. I must be careful with pet rent. That dark dragon hound is at the 6th rank and even a 4th rank battle pet warrior can sign a contract with it. However, to be able to control it is difficult. Su Ping heaved a sigh. Su Kuang was such a handful. Just then, Su Ping had to exert his influence through his contract, or else the judge and the kid from the Lu family would have died. Of course, Su Ping wouldn't have felt sorry even if the Lu family kid had died. However, if that happened, Su Kuang would have been disqualified and the promise to send him to the top 5 would fall through. To Su Ping, the life of a Lu family kid wasn't nearly as important as his store's reputation. After all, if he wanted that Lu family kid dead, he could just go to the Lu family and end his life in person. It was unnecessary to take the Lu family kid's life at the risk of Su Kuang's success. Otherwise, of all the people buying his packages, there would be one less successful person. That would not really matter if Solingyu won first place. Things were looking good right then. Ye Hao and Su Yanying had made it to the top 10. As such, he had to make sure that everyone buying his packages could get what they wanted. One less person would not be perfect. Still, he could have ignored it if 2 people had already failed. Nothing interesting about the following matches between those 10, Su Ping sighed. He closed his eyes and began to study his rules of thunder. He had completely lost his interest in the rest of the matches. Now the ball was in his court. He had made a step forward into the world of rules of thunder and he could study by himself. The process would be long and his ability of understanding would matter. But he would improve as long as he could study at any time possible. It was better than watching boring games here. If it weren't for the fact that he had to protect Solingyu in case someone would attack her, he wouldn't even bother going there. The match began while Su Ping was absorbed in his study. First up was Qin Shaotian and Su Yanying. When Qin Shaotian summoned the bloody servant, Su Yanying directly resigned without any hesitation. Next were Solingyu and Ye Hao. Not wasting a second, Ye Hao resigned before Solingyu even summoned the Moonfrost Dragon. The audience was speechless after seeing that both battles would end by a swift admission of defeat. That was understandable, though. This was also proof that Qin Shaotian and Su Yanying were terrifying. Su Kuang's opponent, the young master of the Zhou family, also resigned shortly after. Even Lu Qingfeng was beaten by Su Kuang. The young master of the Zhou family didn't intend to exchange experience with Su Kong, lest he would suffer a much uglier defeat. Mu Yuanshao and Ye Longtian were the only two who actually decided to fight. Those matches ended quickly. Mu Yuanshao and Ye Longtian won their respective matches with one battle pet each. In an hour, the top 5 winners had been revealed. The 5 losing participants had a chance to challenge any one of the current top 5 winners, but all of them gave it up. The gap was huge. No one would overestimate their strength at this point. They did have a clear sense of themselves after having made it that far in the Elite League. Afterward, the 5 losing participants would battle against each other to fight for the 6th to 10th places. Apart from the audience, the powerful ones of the major families and the municipal government didn't care much for those matches. Some had already left. The matches were intense. The 5 had similar abilities and everyone was exerting their full strength. They were locked together and their performances were a feast to the eyes. As for the battle between the top 5, they were scheduled for the following day. A government official watched from the staging area and smiled. "I think they're going to be the 5 who represent our Longjiang base city." The person next to him nodded in agreement. Suddenly, an elder from the Qin family said, "Not necessarily." He was wearing that mysterious smile again. "Of those 5, one more person will get knocked out. I don't know who that person is going to be, it'll probably be decided among the ones from the Lu family and the Ye family." The 2 government representatives appeared to be surprised by those words. The elders of the Mu family and Ye family turned somber as if they thought of something terrifying. "Since that lady is coming, I will accept the fact that we're going to lose. After all, the guardian in our family will have the task to protect the future family head. But it's so unfortunate that Qin Shaotian would lose to a student barely in her first year. Oh well," the elder from the Mu family pretended to feel sorry. The elder from the Qin family pulled a long face but didn't say anything else. The Ye family elder darted a look at the elder of the Qin family and sneered. Of the top 5 winners, Su Lingyu and Su Kuang indeed were the best ones, and Qin Shaotian would be right next to them. The one from the Ye family and the appointed guardian from the Mu family currently were the weakest ones of the 5. The Ye family elder believed that while their young master was not the strongest, and could probably lose to Qin Shaotian, he should be better than Mu Yuanshao the guardian. The one to be pushed out would have to be the Mu family person. All of a sudden, the elder from the Zhou family asked the people of the government, "Anyways, that lady is arriving tonight, right?" The latter was surprised. They had just realized that they had forgotten about that important person after they heard this conversation. "We don't know about her whereabouts," someone answered ambiguously.